Namo Ramana.
Prostrations to Ramana, who shines as the self in all beings. We begin today's satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh. This will be followed by the chanting of Muktaka trayam.
दक्षिणामूर्तिसारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमां रमणाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
एकमक्षरम् हृदि निरन्तरम् भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् ह्यहमहमिति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युता वा पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम् देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं. Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Uma Sripathy.
Namo Ramana. Idamaham pada vikyamatvaham ahamilinake pyalaya sattaya vigrahendriya प्राणदीतमा नाहमेकस तच्चगम्यसत् सत्त्वभासिका चित्त्ववेतरा सत्तया हि चेत् चित्तया ह्यहम् ईशजीवयो वेषधीविदा सत्स्वभावतो वन्तु केवलम् वेषहानता स्वात्मदर्शनम् ईशदर्शनम् स्वात्मरूपता आत्मसंस्थिति स्वात्मदर्शनम् आत्मनिर्द्वयादात्मनिष्ठता ज्ञानवर्जिता ज्ञानहीन चेत् ज्ञानमस्ति किं ज्ञातुमन्तरम् किं स्वरूपम् नित्यात्मदर्शने अव्यया भवा पूर्णचित् सुखम् बन्धमुक्त्यतीतं परं सुखम् विन्दति जीवस्तु दैविका अहमपेतकम् जविभानकम् महदिदं तपो रमणवागीयम् नमो नमः
Namo Ramana. We will now have 4 songs from Ramananjali Sangeetam. The first song will be presented by Srimati V. Radha. The second song will be presented by Dr. Pratibha Sundaresh. The third song is going to be presented by Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Krishnan. The fourth song is by Revathi Shankar.
Namo Ramana to all. Today I'll be singing a song written by Sri Meenakshi Sundaram, the original in Tamil, and I will be singing the Kannada translation. The translation is done by Sri R.N. J. Gopal and the music is by Sri Vijay Bhaskar. ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣಾಗಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ಸುಂದರನಾಯಿನಿಯಳಾದ ಸುಂದರಿಯ ತನಯ ಸುಂದರನೇ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಸ್ತುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ಸುಂದರನಾಯಿನಿಯಳಾದ ಸುಂದರಿಯ ತನಯ ಸುಂದರನೇ ವೆಂಕಟರಮಣ ಸ್ತುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಪಾದವ ನಾನೆಂಬುದರರ್ಥವು ಏನೆಂಬ ಸತ್ಯವ ನಾನೆಂಬುದರರ್ಥವು ಏನೆಂಬ ಸತ್ಯವ ತಾನರಿತ ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯೇ ರಮಣ ಸಾಟಿಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲದವ ಸಾಟಿಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲದವ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣಾಗಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ಮರಣಾದಿ ಬಂಧಗಳ ನಾಶಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಕರುಣಿಸುನಿ ಚರಣಾಂಬುಜ ವೇಗತಿ ಅರುಣಾಚಲಾಧಿಪತಿ ಮರಣಾದಿ ಬಂಧಗಳ ನಾಶಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಕರುಣಿಸುನಿ ಚರಣಾಂಬುಜ ವೇಗತಿ ಅರುಣಾಚಲಾಧಿಪತಿ ಮೌನಿ ಮಹಾಮುನಿನಾಥ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಪದ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಮೌನಿ ಮಹಾಮುನಿನಾಥ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಪದ ಪ್ರಸಾದ ಮೀನಾಕ್ಷಿ ಸುಂದರ ಗೀತಾ ರಮಣ ನಿಜ ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ನಿಜ ಜ್ಞಾನದಾತ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ತಾಯಿಯಾಗಿ ತಂದೆಯಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ದೈವವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣಾಗಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ ರಮಣ ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ Ramana ಬೆಳಗುವ ಬಾಳ ಸಂಗಾತಿ. Namo Ramana.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. This composition is original by Bhagwan, as in Arunachala verse 9, and the Hindi translation is by Sri Shaila, music by Vijay Bhaskar. And Bhagwan says in this 9th verse, bearing and tending me in the world in the shape of my father and mother, you did abide in my mind, and before I fell into the deep sea called the Jagan Maya, or universal illusion, and was totally drowned in it, you drew me to you, Arunachala, the consciousness itself. Such is the wonder of your grace. तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, हे अरुणाचल हे परमेश्वर, जन्म दे कर पाला पूजा, हे अरुणाचल हे परमेश्वर, जन्म दे कर पाला पूजा, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, जग माया के सागर में मैं डूबने से पहले तुम, जग माया के सागर में मैं डूबने से पहले तुम्हारे पकड़ हाथ उठाए मन सम, पकड़ हाथ उठाए मन सम, ज्ञान की ज्योति तुम लाए, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, हे अरुणाचल हे परमेश्वर, जन्म दे कर पाला पूजा, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, तेरी संगत ज्ञान की ज्योति, तुमसे मिले मन की शांति, तेरी संगत ज्ञान की ज्योति, तुमसे मिले मन की शांति, तेरी नाम आनंद स्फूर्ति, तेरी नाम आनंद स्फूर्ति, अरुणाचल दिखलाए प्रीति, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, हे अरुणाचल हे परमेश्वर, जन्म दे कर पाला पूजा, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता, हे अरुणाचल हे परमेश्वर, जन्म दे कर पाला पूजा, तुम ही मात पिता, तुम ही बंधु भ्राता. नमो रमण.
ರಮಣ ಮನವಿವಿನುಮಾ ಕದಲಿರಾರಾವೋ ರಮಣ, ರಮಣ ಮನವಿವಿನುಮಾ ಕದಲಿರಾರಾವೋ ರಮಣ, ದೀನುಡೇನೋ ನ ತಂದೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಿಕ್ಷ ರಮಣ మనవినుమా కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ రమణ నామ జపములు చేయ ఎంతో నెమ్మది కోరి కోరి చేరితి నిన్ను పొసగు మా సద్గతి రమణ నామ చేయు జపములు చేయ ఎంతో నెమ్మది కోరి కోరి చేరితి నిన్ను పొసగు మా సద్గతి అరరే నిత్య సత్యము నీదో సన్నిధి మా పెన్నిధి అరరే నిత్య సత్యము నీదో సన్నిధి మా పెన్నిధి శాంతి ప్రదాత గుణనిధి రమణ కరుణా వారిధి రమణ మనవినుమా కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ నిన్ను నేను గొలిచద స్వామి రమణ పాహిమా శాంతి లేక సౌఖ్యము లేదు రమణ పాహిమా నిన్ను నేను కొలిచద స్వామి రమణ పాహిమా శాంతి లేక సౌఖ్యము లేదు రమణ పాహిమా నీవు తప్ప ఇతరము లేదు నీ చరణమో భద్రమో నీవు తప్ప ఇతరము లేదు నీ చరణమో భద్రమో రక్షకుడివే కవచము నీవే రమణ కావరా రమణ మనవినుమా కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ రమణ మనవినుమా కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ దీనుడేనో నా తండ్రి జ్ఞాన భిక్షాయివయ్యా చరణ కమలములన్నిటినీ రమణ మనవినుమా కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ కదలిరారా ఓ రమణ ఓం నమో భగవతే శ్రీ
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. It was 19th of May 1922 in Virupaksha, not in Skandashramam. Azhagammal was taken care by Bhagavan. From morning, Bhagavan lay his left hand on mother's head and right hand on the spiritual heart to take away all the vasanas which is there, to cut off everything and give her Jivan Mukti. And Bhagavan gave mother Jivan Mukti. Bhagavan gave moksha to mother, and then after that brought that body down to the hill so that today's Ramanashram is available to all of us. Once the body was placed in the foothills of Arunachala, Ganapati Muni he prepared a lingam, and then on the samadhi of mother, this Matrabhuteshwara lingam was placed, and till today It's a great fortune to all of us that we are able to have darshan of Mother, have the presence of Mother, and she's called Yogambika in that place. So I present to you a composition written by Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer. He's a Vagyekara, meaning to say he has composed the song, written the song, as well as composed the music for it. Matrubhuteshwaram Ashrayami. We all take refuge in you, O Mother Matrubhuteshwara. She is the mother who, in the form of Ishvara, is protecting all of us. Anytime we need something, because she is the mother, we can simply go and ask her, and she blesses with whatever is required to us at the right time. Presenting to you Matrubhuteshwaram Ashrayami. Matrubhuteshwaram Ashrayami Mahayoga Shakti Sametam. 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 Matrubhuteshwaram Ashrayami. ध्यातृध्यान ध्येयातीत परम अवाङ्मनो गोचरम् अप्रमेयम्. ध्यातृध्यान ध्येयातीत परम अवाङ्मनो गोचरम् अप्रमेयम्. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आश्रयामि महायोगशक्तिसमेतम्. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आश्रयामि महायोगशक्तिसमेतम्. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आश्रयामि. अरुणरमणमातृ अधिष्ठानशोभम् अखिलातिभञ्जनम् अघहरम्. अरुणरमणमा बह्वन्नप्रदकरं सङ्गीतनिपुणगानामृताभिषिक्तं सार्गधर विनुतरामहृदयरमणमाश्रयामि. सदा वेदघोषज्वलितं सर्वसमृद्धिकरं बह्वन्नप्रदकरं सङ्गीतनिपुणगानामृताभिषिक्तं सार्गधर विनुतरामहृदयरमणं. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आश्रयामि महायोगशक्तिसमेतम्. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आश्रयामि महायोगशक्तिसमेतम्. मातृभूतेश्वरम् आशयामि महायोगशक्तिसमेतम् मातृभूतेश्वरम् आशयामि. Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing and reading from the book Ramana's Muruganar by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we have been reading from Ramana's Muruganar, birth centenary compilation, edited and compiled by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We are today taking up the account of Sri T.K. Jaisriram sir, a devotee who has translated many of Bhagavan's works into English. He has entitled his account as Muruganar and Ramanapadananda. Muruganar and Ramanapadananda by T.K. Jaisriram sir. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, drawn to Arunachala, shining as the physical manifestation of the Supreme Being, was staying in Tiruvannamalai, forever abiding in the self and showing the way to eternal bliss to all those who sought it. To follow his path, neither rituals nor knowledge of the scriptures is required. Turn the mind from the external objects to your own self. When we say I, find out who this I really is. Go deep into yourself and inquire as to where from this I arises. I'll repeat that. Turn the mind from external objects to your own self. When we say I, find out who this I really is. Go deep into yourself and inquire as to where from this I arises. This is what Ramana says. If we know ourselves, the ego subsides and the self shines by itself. This is the blissful state. If we know ourselves, the ego subsides and the self shines by itself. This is the blissful state. It is the mind that wanders outwardly, which is samsara, bondage. When it stays in its source, that is mukti, freedom. If we know this, there is no more sorrow. It is the mind that wanders outwardly, which is samsara, bondage. When it stays in its source, that is mukti, freedom. If we know this, there is no more sorrow. People with various worldly problems, as well as earnest seekers, flock to Bhagavan for succor. It is no wonder that Muruganar was drawn to him like iron filings being attracted by a magnet. Muruganar's original name was C.K. Subramanian. His father's name was Krishna Iyer. Muruganar was a great Tamil scholar, and his love for Tamil prompted him to change his name to Mugavai Kanna Muruganar. He served in Norwich Girls High School and later in Hindu Theological High School for Girls as a Tamil Pandit. He was appointed a member of the Tamil Lexicon Committee. He had the appreciation of giants of Tamil literature like Dr. U.V. Swaminathan Iyer, U.S. Chengalvaraya Pillai, Meenakshi Sundaram Pillai, and Kaviyogi Suddhananda Bharati. Muruganar was a supporter of the Gandhian movement. He wore only khadi and in his early life composed many songs on Swatantra or independence. Muruganar's father-in-law, Dandapani Swami, was instrumental in igniting his interest in Sri Ramana. It was in 1923, while he was 33 years old, that Muruganar met Ramana for the first time. At that time, Ramana was staying in a thatched shed. When Muruganar was hesitating to go inside that hut, Ramana himself came out and looked at him with great compassion. Muruganar felt blessed by his wondrous gaze, completely surrendered himself to Ramana. Ramana became his very breath. This is explained by Muruganar himself in Ramana Sannidhi Murai, Piditta Pattu, decade of the divine grip. Blind to the inner eye, I was wandering ego-ridden. Out of compassion, you have drawn me away from all the bondages. Now, I have caught you till eternity. Where can you go away from me? Blind to the inner eye, I was wandering ego-ridden. Out of compassion, you have drawn me away from all the bondages. Now, I have caught you till eternity. Where can you go away from me? Before meeting Ramana for the first time, Muruganar went to the Arunachaleshwara temple and composed 11 verses on Ramana in Tevaram Asiriya Vrittam in Kamboti Raga. In days of yore, you left Kailasa agog with the music of celestial beings and came to Tiruperundurai to hear the sweet words of Manika Vachaka. Now you have come down again to the holy Arunachala to hear my inept prattle. In days of yore, is telling Bhagavan, you left Kailasha agog with the music of celestial beings and came to Tiruperundurai to hear the sweet words of Manika Vachaka. Now you have come down again to the holy Arunachala to hear my inept prattle. Again, when he went to Arunachala in December 1923, he took some new verses styled on the lines of Tiruvambavai of Manika Vachakar, starting Annamalai Ramanan Anbarukku Arul Mari Kannale Peyyum Karunai. Annamalai Ramanan Anbarukku Arul Mari Kannale Peyyum Karunai. When Ramana perused this song, he inquired playfully, can you also compose songs like Manika Vachakar? Initially, Muruganar humbly thought, where is Manika Vachakar and where am I? However, he soon felt that this was a command and benediction from the master for him to strive to emulate Manika Vachakar and the other Nayanmars. Thereafter, he began to record his thoughts and inner feelings in verse form. He brought out his love and devotion, his ecstatic states of mind, his prayers, his praises in his beautiful songs. He sang about Bhagwan's greatness, compassion, grace, and how he redeemed him and bestowed on him the supreme bliss. He paid homage to Ramana, who, like Lord Dakshinamurti, sheds grace among us in the same way as Manika Vachakar worshipped and adored Lord Shiva in classic Tiruvachakam. He also composed verses following Nayanmar's Appar, Sundarar, Tirunjana Sambandar, as also later saints like Arunagirinadar and Thayimanavar. Each verse of Muruganar is like a gem, and all are his poetical garlands for Ramana. Each verse of Muruganar is like a gem, and all his poetical garlands and all are his poetical garlands for Ramana. As Muruganar renounced everything except devotion for Ramana, he never expected any name or fame for himself. Now, there arose a question whether this invaluable treasure of thousands of verses by Muruganar would ever see the light of the day or would go in vain like the moonlight in the forest. As if in answer to this question, Shri Ramanapadananda appeared on the scene. How did Ramanapadananda's connection come? Now, there arose a question whether this invaluable treasure of thousands of verses by Muruganar would ever see the light of the day or would go in vain like the moonlight in the forest. As if in answer to this question, Shri Ramanapadananda appeared on the scene. Ramanapadananda's original name was V.S. Kuppuswamy Iyengar. V.S. Kuppuswamy Iyengar. He was a businessman and had traveled throughout India. At the age 39, in 1928, he went for the darshan of Bhagwan Sri Ramana. In the first darshan itself, he was filled with ecstasy and he remained weeping in the presence of Ramana for a long time. He had complete peace of mind, which was unknown to him till then. Padananda himself wrote about this first darshan. On that day, he had the taste of bliss which he had never had in his life till then. As he took delight in looking at the lotus feet of Ramana and would be shedding tears uncontrollably, he was called Ramana Pada Ananda, Ramana Padananda. As he took delight in looking at the lotus feet of Ramana and would be shedding tears uncontrollably, he was called Ramana Padananda. When Padananda went to Tiruchuri, the birthplace of Ramana, and other places, he found to his dismay that people realized little about the greatness of Ramana. He decided that his life's mission was to propagate the glory of Ramana as the Yuga Purusha. Two great devotees, one writing poems and one seeing that people have not understood the greatness of Bhagavan, wanting to spread his glory. When Padananda went to Tiruchuri, the birthplace of Ramana, and other places, he found to his dismay that people realized little about the greatness of Ramana. He decided that his life's mission was to propagate the glory of Ramana as the Yuga Purusha. With this view in mind, he gave up his business. He started arranging festivals, Jayanti celebrations, pujas, processions, and discourses on Ramana in several towns. In the meanwhile, he had the blessed contact of Muruganar and developed great devotion to him. He realized that Muruganar's life was entirely devoted to singing the glory of Ramana and that he had already composed thousands of verses on Ramana. He felt intuitively that by popularizing this work of Muruganar, people would have the opportunity of getting the grace of Ramana. Thus, Ramana Padananda took the challenge and privilege of getting Muruganar's early works into print. Propagating Muruganar's writing as well as Bhagavan's greatness became his ambition, which took him to several parts of India. He got a good response in Sri Lanka, in Burma, and Malaysia also. Adequate funds came. With untiring efforts of Ramana Padananda, together with the help of several others, the first publication of Muruganar's Ramana Sannidhi Murai, consisting of over 100 padigams, songs, and 1250 verses, was brought out in January 1933. It was followed by a second edition in April 1939, 6 years later, with 118 padigams and 1851 verses. We will continue to read about these two great devotees in our next satsang. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo.
Namo Ramana. We will now have a session of self-enquiry, which will be led by Sri Dileep Simha. He will share a few thoughts on self-enquiry and then have the practice session along with all of us.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tamraravindeksham Bhaktabhishtavarabhaya Pradakaram Kaupinamatruchvalan Svatmanam Tarasanam Vivasham Sarvanavatyangakam श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यवसितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामज्जतवं पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवतु। Namo Ramana. We will commence the Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham and meditating on it by his abundant grace. I'll be reading his Upadesham from the book Guru Vachaka Kovai, from the chapter Meditation on the Truth, and the topic is Gradations of Sadhana. Verse 755. If rather than wasting his days, the jiva takes up the practice of vichara with firm resolve, his life will come to possess great excellence. The idea, I am this wretched body, will cease, and the sea of surpassing supreme bliss will surge abundantly within him. I repeat the verse. If rather than wasting his days, the jiva takes up the practice of vichara with firm resolve, his life will come to possess great excellence. The idea, I am this wretched body, will cease, and the sea of surpassing supreme bliss will surge abundantly within him. Talking about the firm resolve, Kameshwarji in his discourse on the Yaksha Prashna this afternoon was quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, the three types of firmness that people have. One is the sattvic one, the other is the rajasic one, the other being the tamasic one. And talking about the sattvic one, which basically constrains the mind, the indriyas from rushing outward and turning towards the making the person antarmukha. Though initially which may seem to bring no big results, as and when this sadhana is firmly held on to, great bliss is bestowed on them, says Krishna. Now we have the other two kinds of firmness, the rajasic and the tamasic. This is also something makes us outwardly become firm. Like in the rajasic firmness, we believe in this, he was saying, the dharma, artha, kama more, less about the moksha. So we think of being righteous, we think of doing things to achieve our goals. So in this, initially, it's a lot of happiness, because when we here also there is firmness, but because of that firmness, there is a lot of material accomplishments of the dharma, artha, kama, which brings a lot of happiness initially, but only to realize that it is only transitory and will fade away. And he was saying, eventually in that path, one loses the strength, one becomes weak, one loses the ability to have the ekagrata as time progresses. And finally, the tamasic firmness. And he was talking about people who relish talking about their troubles, talking about their issues and things that they are, why they are so depressed, and talking about others and whatever. That is ananda. In all of these things, Jiva is experiencing a kind of ananda. So it continues to pursue it with some firmness, because it is experiencing some or the other joy in doing it. And in the tamasic, he was saying that even when one is practicing the firmness, one is in an imaginary world. And this is usually because the tamasic firmness comes because the intellect has been completely tossed out. Everything is all mental. And there, everything is imaginary. Everything is being imagined about somebody putting them being the cause for their difficulty and things like that. And even when the result comes, that will also be again in the imaginary. So here Bhagavan is saying that if we go outward in the form of this firmness towards rajas or tamas, we are wasting the days. The jiva, and he was talking about how Shankaracharya talks about the opportunity, a rare opportunity which comes, which is a human birth, and then the need to have moksha, and then a guru who can help us save. He was talking about the moksha is like a quicksand. The person understands that one is in a quicksand and he needs to get out of it. That is once a jiva understands the life is such and it is pulling him inside. Therefore, he needs to get out of it. And he was saying the jiva also understands no matter how much it tries, the quicksand will never let it get out. Therefore, there is a need for a guru outside to pull that jiva out from the quicksand. So here, we can bring that context here and understand, then rather than wasting our days with lot of rajasic and tamasic firmness, if the jiva understands that both of it is of no use for it, but rather practices vichara with a firm resolve, that is the sattvic resolve for the purpose of moksha. If it starts to practice vichara, to whom is this? Who am I? No matter what comes, whatever, as Bhagavan is said, no matter what kind of those thoughts are, if we can only inquire to whom is this, who am I? That is, we recognize that the vichara is the only firm resolve and hold on to it no matter what emergencies or what may come in the realm of the rajasic, whatever rajasic activity may push us, whatever tamasic ideas may push us. If we can piggyback or return back to the practice of vichara with firm resolve, initially we may not find a lot of progress happening, but in the due course, the mind starts to subside at the source. And the idea that I am this body, I am an individual in this world, starts to subside or cease. And then the bliss of the self expressing itself naturally, will surge abundantly, says Bhagavan. And this is the gradation of the sadhana. So the vichara that we do, as Bhagavan says, as we keep on practicing it, the self alone will rise and shine one day. And this is how this vichara, this beautiful vichara, which is not just a practice, but it's not just a shravana, not just a manana, not just a nididhyasana. It is a mingling of all these three, which brings us to the self every moment we practice. And that eventually consumes all the source of our sorrow, all the sense of division, and eventually make the truth which alone is shine naturally. So Bhagavan in here is saying that that is the firm resolve that we need to understand this and practice Atma Vichara. Bhagavan's immense grace, with which alone we have come to this most direct path. For the next 10 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Kavya Kanta Vasishta Ganapati Muni, a Maha Tapasvi who had gone to various places in the earth, in the sacred India, to do tapasya, and by the divine providence he was brought to Arunachala. And there at Arunachala he realized that his guru is here shining in the Virupaksha cave on the slopes of Arunachala. And he completely surrendered to Ramana and got the Upadesha of turning back to its own true nature. Ramana spoke for the first time and told, "Find out from where the I thought arises and merge at its source. That is tapasya. You say you have done crores of japa. Find from where the mantra nada arises from within and merge at its source, and that is tapasya." And Ganapati Muni, who was a ripe soul, who had done so much of sadhana, who was a great tapasvi, he understood the greatness of this Upadesha, and he sat down there to meditate on this Upadesha and had an experience of the self, of the truth. He has written these 40 verses in praise of Ramana, and he sings. We are on the 39th and the 40th verse, which are the last two verses of this series of verses which glorify Ramana. Tadbhagadeyamasamaanamanekamouni vasarjitam kshitibhrita kalulohitasya angīchakara bhagavan ramano mahashiranyeshu sastu yadimam bahushu staleshu Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Shantir Nidantamadika Paramasya Shakti, Vairagyamadbhutatamam Karunatu Sandra, Jnanam Nirastakuhanam Maduram Chavritam, Drenam Nidarshanamayam Ramano Maharshi, Shantir Nidantamadika Paramasya Shakti, Vairagyamadbhutatamam Karunatu Sandra, Jnanam Nirastakuhanam Maduram Chavritam, Drenam Nidarshanamayam Ramano Maharshi, Ramanam Gurum Namami, Ramanam Gurum Namami. ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ಪಡೆದಿಹುದು ಸರಿಸಾಟಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಮುನಿವರರು ವಾಸಿಸುವ ಕೆಂಪಾದ ಗಿರಿಯು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಲೆಸಿಹರು ಭಗವಾನ್ ರಮಣ ಮಹರ್ಷಿಗಳು ಇತರ ಅನೇಕ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಿದ್ದರು ರಮಣ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ರಮಣ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ಅಪೂರ್ವ ಶಾಂತಿ ಅಪರಿಮಿತ ಶಕ್ತಿಯು ಅದ್ಭುತ ವಿರಕ್ತಿ ಅಗಾಧ ಕರುಣೆಯು ಕಪಟವಿಲ್ಲದ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಜ್ಞಾನವು ಮಧುರ ನಡತೆಯೂ ಆದರ್ಶರಿವರು ಮನುಜರಿಗೆ ರಮಣ ಮಹರ್ಷಿಗಳು ರಮಣ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ ರಮಣ ಗುರುವಿಗೆ ನಮನ. In the earlier verse, Ganapati Muni was describing the glory of Arunachala. Arunachala, which is already so glorious because the Siddhas, Jnanis, they all reside in Arunachala. That Arunachala has become much more auspicious and sacred by the presence of Ramana, because Ramana has chosen Arunachala to be his abode. And in the next verse, he describes the glory of Ramana. What can we say about Ramana? In one of his earlier verses, he says, O Vishwacharya Mahanubhava Ramana, Twam Stautuka Prakritah. One who is called a Kavya Kanta Ganapati Muni, one whose throat the Kavya is flowing. He says, O Ramana, how can I describe your glory? And here he tries to summarize everything what Ramana embodies. He says, Shantir Nidhanta Madhika. There is this unfathomable Shanti in his presence. At the same time, there is Paramasya Shakti. There is this Aparimita Shakti. There is the supreme power which is seen in his presence. And his Vairagya is wonderful. We can't imagine his Vairagya. And he is full of Karuna. We see that the Karuna is as if it is present in the Ghana form, in an intense, solidified form. We can see Karuna embodied. And his Jnana is without any hypocrisies, any kapata. It is full of love. And his walk of his life, his conduct is so beautiful, so madhura and so sweet. And Ramana is the Adarsha, is an example for all of us. Ramana says, we can all be Ramana because we are all one in that one consciousness. So he is shining as an example of a great one who has attained the goal, the purpose of life, and who has come amidst us to tell that it can be achieved. Others have succeeded. Why not you? Says Bhagavan Ramana. And he is that example to all of us to strive and attain our own true nature, which we already are, which we have forgotten to remind ourselves. Ramana has come as a beautiful example. Since we are approaching Mother Alagammal's Aradhana, and we are having, which is celebrated as Maha Puja at Ramanashramam, I thought of meditating these qualities of Bhagavan Ramana, which Ganapati Muni has described in the light of Mother Alagammal. And it is same for every devotee. Every devotee feels all these, how he is described in this verse. He is full of Shanti. When Mother Alagammal got to know the news that his son was at Tiruvannamalai and he was a great ascetic there, and she quickly wanted to go and see him and bring him back home. So when she went up, he was staying in a small hillock called Pavalakkundru, and every day she used to climb up and beg him to come back home, because she could not see the sight where his son, his beloved son, was filled with dirt and grime, his hair matted, and he did not know that who is giving him food and who is taking care of him. He is just wearing a loin cloth, and he is staying in this hot Arunachala hill, and she was very, very concerned about him. So she kept on pleading to him to come back home. One of the devotees gave a paper and a pencil and told Swami, you don't have to break your silence, but please give a message to your mother. And Ramana gave the first Upadesha. And what is that Upadesha? He said that the Supreme is there in every place, taking care of everything. And he is making everything happen according to his script. We may call it prarabdha, but it is already destined and already written. And what is destined to happen will always happen, whatever you may try to prevent it. But what is not destined to happen will not happen, whatever effort you may put in that direction. This is truth. And he continues and says, so the best course is to remain silent. This Upadesha filled the mother with Shanti. What is destined to happen is happening. So there is no use of simply worrying about it and trying to change what is destined. Instead, the only free will that we have is to turn towards our own self and to be in silence. And this Upadesha which he gave to mother, it gives solace to all the devotees. When sometimes when something good is happening, we don't remember this Upadesha by Bhagavan. But whenever there is something bad which happens, something you have lost, or you lose a dear one, then you are reminded of Bhagavan's teaching, where he tells that what is destined to happen is sure to happen, and the best course for us is to remain silence. And that Upadesha fills us with Shanti, and he is full of Shakti. When Mother Alagammal came on her way back from Tirupati, she wanted to visit Bhagavan and go. So she came to Tiruvannamalai and she was affected by typhoid. At that point of time when she came, the typhoid was supposed to be very, very critical ailment which would take away the life. So when she was affected by that typhoid, Bhagavan wrote a prayer to Arunachala. He never prayed for anything. He is the Vairagya Murti. But he wrote a prayer, one and only prayer to Arunachala to recover his mother. And what does he pray in that prayer? He says, oh, Arunachala, you are the mountain medicine. You are the mountain medicine. And you, if one remembers you, you can destroy the cycle of birth and death which appears like the waves in the ocean. And why are you not curing my mother from this disease of Bhavaroga, of this disease of again being born and death? Give her liberation. Make her one in your feet. Oh Kala Kala, you are the one who has won over death. Please come and quickly liberate my mother. And he continues and says, oh Arunachala, bless my mother in a way, make her one with you, so that the fire that is lit when the body is dead, that fire does not touch her. And this prayer, the Shakti of Ramana, the typhoid also got cured in some time. And what he had prayed to Arunachala made it happen. Mother, when she attained liberation, her cycle of birth and death was washed away by the gracious touch of Bhagavan. And she became liberated and she was shining like a yogini, and her body was brought down. Usually the body of a jnani becomes a temple, so it is not burned. So that fire which is used to burn the dead body did not touch her. Instead, she was placed inside the samadhi, and a Matrabhuteshwara linga was established. And Ramana is Vairagya Murti. He never wanted anything. He didn't even call his own mother for a long time. So Mother Alagammal was very, very saddened by this. I have come with so much of love. And Ramana wanted to remove her of this mamakara, that the possessiveness that she has, that here Bhagavan is my son. To remove that, he had this leela. But when some devotees, when Alagammal and Echammal and all requested that Alagammal, the mother, should stay in the presence of Bhagavan because she can't come up and down the hill every day, she is getting old and she is getting weak. When the devotees protested, they told, oh, mother cannot stay here. If we live one person to stay here, others also may follow, and we may have a set of women in the ashram, and this is not allowed in the ashram. So when they protested, Ramana got up and he held the hand of mother and told, Amma, if not here, come, let us go somewhere else. So his karuna was so dense. Although we may feel that Ramana is being very, very rude, he is not talking to us, he is not giving us what we want. But his karuna is so intense that it makes us grow. Even his seeming anger is actually the kataksham that he is showing on us, and he is blessing us. And his karuna, all the devotees fell at the feet of Bhagavan and told, Bhagavan, please don't leave us and go. You can stay, even mother can stay here. And both started staying together with the devotees in the Virupaksha cave years. And his jnana is so simple. There is no complications, there is no conflict in his Upadesha. It's very, very simple. The simplest of the Upadesha, the direct path. Understand who you are. You don't need any other support. You just have to turn within and know who you are. And this, he taught it to his mother very, very sweetly. The next line says, Maduram cha vrittam. His conduct is so sweet. He does not want to hurt anyone. When mother secretly, she collected all the ingredients to make the appalams, and she had secretly kept it, and when she was making the appalams, there were too much of appalams to be made. So she called Bhagavan to help. Come and help me in making appalams. And Ramana wanted to put a full stop to this mother's concern to his son alone, to make her understand that he belonged to the whole universe. To make her understand this, he told, Amma, you make your appalams and I will make mine. And he wrote the appalam part, where in the way of making the appalams, he is describing the beauty of self-enquiry. He says, Ibbu vitan nilyengi tiriyamal sadboda guru sadguru vanavar sheppade sunna tattuvamakiyaro puyar billa or molihinpadi அப்பளமிட்டு பாரே தானே தானாக தன்மய அப்பளமிட்டு பாரே சந்தோஷமாகவே அப்பளமிட்டு பாரே. He gave the Upadesha. Don't keep roaming in this world finding happiness. There is no happiness anywhere there. The happiness is in the words of the Sadguru, who tells his Upadesha without telling it. In Mauna, he is ever giving that Upadesha. Listen to that Upadesha and follow that path and attain that appalam. Anma appalam, tanmaya appalam, and you enjoy this process of making appalam santoshamahave, santoshamaha, shalipara, santatam, all the time, without getting tired and with lot of joy. Keep making this appalam, the appalam of turning within, and then you are assured that you will attain that supreme state where you will taste the Tanmaya Appalam, says Bhagavan. And he is standing as the Adarsha. He is the best son that you can see, the son who gave the liberation to his own mother. He is the best. Dodrangegoda says he brought name to Tiruchuli, he brought name to Arunachala, he made the whole world bow to India, because India has Arunachala and Ramana, who is the shining light guiding all the seekers of truth. So all the seekers of truth were drawn to him. So he is the Adarsha Purusha. He is the best example that we can find a role model that we should follow. So whenever we are in conflict, we are reminded of Bhagwan. What would a Bhagwan had done in this situation? And the anecdotes that we have learned, anecdotes we listen and we read are the guiding force to take the right action in our lives and to lead a life which will lead us to our own true self, which is unlimited bliss and which is full of power yet full of peace, which Ramana represents, to teach us this path of getting back to our own true nature, which is Shanti and Shakti. Ramana has come into our lives. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have a sharing of Atma Vidya Kirtanam, Anma Vidyai by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande sir.
Namo Ramana. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunatu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamoolam Gurur Murtihi Pujamulam Padam Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha. Mokshamulam Gurur Kripaha. During Manana Atma Bodha, the last satsang we did Manana on verse number 50. I'll just do a short recap of that. Having crossed the ocean of delusion and having killed the demons of likes and dislikes, etc., the sage, united with peace, revels in his own Atman. Today we will do Manana on verse number 51, and I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse, please.
Yes, sir. Namo Ramana. Bahya nitya sukha saktim hitvatma sukha nirvrutaha ghatastadipavaccha svadantareva prakashate. Bahya nitya sukha saktim hitvatma sukha nirvrutaha ghatastadipavaccha svadantareva prakashate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. Having relinquished the attachment to transitory external joys, the enlightened one, contented with the bliss of Atman, shines alone inwardly like a light placed in a jar. A contrast is drawn here between ephemeral joys of the world and the perennial bliss of realization. Also, an indication is given as to the means of experiencing that supreme bliss. With an extrovert mind, you seek your pleasures in the sense objects. Religion does not prohibit you from enjoying the objects. It only cautions you not to crave or develop a clinging attachment to the fleeting joys arising out of your contact with the sense objects of the world. It does not entail renunciation of the pleasures. It forbids an uncontrollable mental yearning for such an enjoyment. It is natural for the body to have passions for the world of objects. The wise do not allow themselves to be swayed by these passions by maintaining a control over them. This is vairagya, detachment. the attachment or desire for objects is not in the object, but for the object. Sorry, I'll read this again. The attachment or desire for the object is not in the object, but for the object. Hence, Vairagya is not mere physical denial. It is to be gained through emotional self-control and intellectual sufficiency. The extent of your detachment from the world is commensurate with your attunement with the Atman. Detachment from the lower is directly proportional to the attachment to the higher. A self-realized person is one who is completely attuned to the self within and has renounced all his attachments to the external world. When you contact the objects, emotions, and thoughts of the world, you gain the joys arising out of them. But when the objects die away or when the contacts are broken, the joy ceases. Thus, you are constantly tossed between joy and sorrow, which cause you mental agitations in life. The wise one, however, shifts the focus of his attention from his actions, emotions, and thoughts to the Atman within in all his experiences in life. At each experience, he remembers and contemplates on the divine self, which enables him to gain that experience. By constantly practicing this change of focus from the world to the self, you liberate yourself from your entanglement with the world and get established in the supreme bliss of the self, the enlightened experience, the pure self, without the help of any extraneous equipment. The human equipments are only for experiencing the world, but for experience of the self, no equipment is necessary. The self illumines itself. The example is that of a light placed inside a jar. Similarly, when consciousness functions through your equipments, you gain the knowledge of the world. When you go beyond the equipments, consciousness alone remains, illumining itself. The enlightened one remains absorbed in that self-effulgent light of consciousness. Beautiful verse. It basically talks about detachment, detached from the world, attached to the self. This world is fleeting. It's like a drama. It's like objects are coming and going, coming and going. The thing is not to, you can enjoy the objects, but don't be attached to it. And any attachment, it's like if you have if you say a habit of like smoking is a habit. Initially, you think I'll have one cigarette, but then what happens? Doesn't stop there. It becomes a continuous. You have one, and then it becomes a habit. You can't do without it. So Bhagavan tells us that we should be able to detach ourselves. And it's not that we should not enjoy if there is some good food we are having. It's not that we should not enjoy the food, but we should not say the next time I should have the similar type of food when you go for another function. So that's the detachment we should have. And the great ones are always attached to the self. They do not worry about what is happening outside. They are established in the self. That's why Bhagavan wants all of us to be attached to the self. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Thank you, Reva.
Thank you, Uncle. Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati V. Radha.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. நைந்தழி கனியா நலநிலை பதத்தில் நாடி உட்கொள்ளலம் அருணாச்சலா நொந்திடதுந்தனை தந்தனை கொண்டிலை அந்த கனி என கருணாச்சலா நோக்கியே கருதி மெய்தாக்கிய பக்குவமாக்கினியாண்டருள் அருணாச்சலா பற்றி மல்விடன் தலை உற்றிரு முனமருள் பற்றிடருள் புரி அருணாச்சலா பார்த்தருள் மாலர பார்த்தில்லையேனின் அருள் பாருணக்கா சொல்வார் அருணாச்சலா பித்து விட்டுன்னை நேர்பித்தனாக்கினை அருள் பித்தம் தேடி மருந்தருணாச்சலாம் வீதியில் உன்னை சார் வீதியில் என்னை சேர் வீதி உந்தனக்கே அருணாச்சலாம் புல்லறிவே துரை நல்லறிவே துரை புல்லிடவே அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் பூமண மாமண பூரண மணம் கொள்ள பூரண மணம் அருள் அருணாச்சலா பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திழுத்தனை உன் பெருமையார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலாம் பேய்த்தனம் விடவிடா பேயா பிடித்தென்னை பேயனக்கினையன் அருணாச்சலா பைங்கொடியானான் பற்றின்றி வாடாமல் பற்று கொடாய்கா அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமணமாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. We will now conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. The Ashtottara puja will be done by Sri Dileep Simha at his altar. The Ashtottaram will be chanted by Revathi Shankar and Uma Sripathy. We will conclude today's satsang with the Arati song. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामावली अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेन महोंशेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महौजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः. ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः. ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः. ॐ तीव्राय नमः. ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः. ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः. ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः. ॐ तपोमयाय नमः. ॐ उदासीनाय नमः. ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रधिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीषोडाचलरद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ ऋच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात्मन्दमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्री अष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशस्थादात्म्यभावं गतः
धन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीव हित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिव नंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावर्ण नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಯೇ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವೈ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರ್ಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय। Ramana.
Thank you, Namo Ramana. Thank you, Dileepa. Namo Ramana. Thank you, Revathi.